Imagine standing bound on an alien shore, facing a lifetime of unbreakable chains after being dragged across an ocean. What is the ultimate act of defiance in the face of such absolute darkness? Is it fighting back, surviving against all odds, or is it something more? Welcome to Halo of Time, where we unravel the mysteries and miracles of history.
In 1803, on the marshy shores of Georgia, a group of 75 enslaved Igbo people answered that question with an act so shocking, it left their captors entirely speechless and has echoed through generations. They made an impossible choice, a choice to completely reject a future of slavery by walking together straight into the water, armed with the unshakable belief that their spirits would return home.
This is the true story of the Igbo Landing. For centuries, many dismissed it as merely a haunting folktale, but we now know it's a harrowing historical fact. It's a story of courage so immense it transformed into a myth, and it might just be the single greatest act of defiance in human history.
Before they were captives, they were Igbos. They came from the forested region of what is now southeastern Nigeria, a people known for their fiercely independent spirit. Their society was built on achievement, community, a deep spiritual connection to the land, and was egalitarian and republican.
Life was governed by complex beliefs where spirits inhabited the natural world, the trees, the mountains, and especially the water. In Igbo cosmology, water is a powerful force. It is a source of life, a path for spirits, and a gateway between the physical and spiritual worlds.
Water deities, or Momiri, were revered as guardians. This wasn't just superstition, it was a fundamental part of their reality. The idea that water held consciousness, that it was a living gateway, was as real to them as the earth under their feet.
They were farmers, traders, and artists. Their names had meaning: Obadiki, heart of a strong man; Adaugo, daughter of an eagle. They had families, histories, and destinies they believed were their own.
The very idea of being owned by another person, of being reduced to property, wasn't just an injustice. It went against the very nature of who they were. This deeply ingrained sense of self was something their captors could never break.
In the spring of 1803, that world was shattered. Abducted from their homes, they were thrown into the nightmare of the Middle Passage. After surviving a brutal journey across the Atlantic, likely on the slave ship the Wanderer, they arrived in Savannah, Georgia.
There, these 75 men and women were sold like livestock for about $100 each to two planters, John Cooper and Thomas Spaulding. Their destination was the plantations of St. Simon's Island. They were packed onto a smaller coastal vessel, the schooner York.
Chained below deck, they were headed towards a life that sociologist Orlando Patterson would later call social death, the complete loss of honor, power, and connection to one's heritage. But for the Igbos, who were known throughout the American South for their resistance, this was a fate they refused to accept. They had been stripped of their freedom, but not their will. And on that small ship, that was ignited.
What happened next wasn't just an escape, it was a full-blown rebellion. The 75 Igbo captives rose up, overwhelmed the crew, and took control of the ship. In the struggle, their captors were overpowered and drowned in the creek.
The Igbo had seized power, turning the vessel of their imprisonment into a tool of their liberation. In the chaos, the ship ran aground in the marshy tidewaters of Dunbar Creek. They were ashore, but they were not free. This was a strange, hostile land, thousands of miles from home.
Bounty hunters and slave patrols would be coming. Recapture meant a life of unimaginable brutality, a life worse than death. It was in that moment, surrounded by the unknown, that their leader, a high chief among them, made a decision.
It wasn't a choice born of despair, but of profound spiritual conviction. They wouldn't run, they wouldn't hide, they would go home.
On the muddy banks of Dunbar Creek, the unbelievable happened. The group of Igbo men and women formed a procession, In unison, still bound in chains, they began to march.
And as they marched, they sang. Oral traditions, passed down for generations, preserve the spirit of their chant, sung in their native Igbo. Momiri du anyibia, momiri ga edu anyi lagachi. The water spirit brought us, the water spirit will take us home.
This wasn't a song of surrender. It was a prayer, an activation of a belief system their captors couldn't possibly understand. To the Igbo, water was the path back to their ancestors, the gateway to the spirit world. They believed their god, Chukwu, would see them home.
Led by their chief, they walked straight into the dark, marshy waters of the creek. They kept marching as the water rose around them, their song carrying across the marsh. This was not a mass suicide born from hopelessness. It was a mass liberation.
It was the ultimate act of self-determination. They chose the certainty of a spiritual return over the certainty of physical bondage. They reclaimed their bodies and their souls, denying their captors the one thing they truly wanted: their submission. In the face of a system designed to erase their humanity, they chose to die as Igbo, rather than live as slaves.
The white men who witnessed this were stunned. One of the few written accounts comes from Roswell King, an overseer on a nearby plantation. His report is chilling in its detachment. He wrote that as soon as the Igbos landed, they simply took to the swamp and drowned themselves.
To the slave owners and dealers, the primary tragedy was the financial loss. Official reports say only 10 to 13 bodies were recovered. Some of the 75 may have been recaptured by bounty hunters, who were offered $10 a head for survivors. Others were simply lost to the water.
For over a century, many historians dismissed the event as a folktale. It wasn't until the 1980s, when researchers used modern techniques to re-examine historical letters, that they confirmed the truth of the oral accounts. What had been passed down in whispers was finally proven to be one of the largest mass suicides of enslaved people in American history.
History records a mass drowning, but legend remembers something far more magical. The story didn't end in Dunbar Creek. It became the seed of one of the most powerful legends in African American folklore, the myth of the Flying Africans.
Among the Gullah Geechee people, descendants of enslaved West Africans in the Sea Islands of Georgia and South Carolina, the story transformed. They remembered it not as a suicide, but as a magical ascension.
In their tellings, as the Igbos walked into the water, they either grew wings and flew back to Africa, or their chief spoke magic words that let them walk across the water, all the way home. An account from the 1930s Federal Writers Project quotes a Gullah man named Wallace Quarterman, who said the Igbos rose up in the sky and turned themselves into buzzards and flew right back to Africa.
This myth of flight became a profound symbol of hope. In a world of chains, the idea that your spirit could never be contained, that it could literally fly away to freedom, was a radical act of imagination. The legend of the Flying Africans spread a testament to the belief that spiritual liberation could triumph over physical death.
Today, the echo of Igbo Landing is all around us. The site itself, though unmarked for centuries, is considered sacred ground, a place some believe is still haunted by the spirits of the Igbos.
The story has profoundly shaped African American culture.
The story of Igbo Landing is more than history, it's a living legacy. It's been called America's first freedom march, a powerful testament to the fact that even in the most dehumanizing circumstances, the human spirit can still make a choice.
So, why is the Igbo Landing the greatest act of defiance ever? Because it was a complete rejection of the logic of slavery. Slavery's power was built on the idea that a person could be turned into property, their will broken, and their spirit extinguished.
The 75 Igbo people at Dunbar Creek defied this at every level. They refused to be property. Their will was never broken. And they proved in the most dramatic way imaginable that their spirits could never be owned. They took the captors' ultimate power, the power of life and death, and claimed it for themselves.
They transformed the water that brought them to America in chains into the very vessel of their liberation. They chose a spiritual homecoming over a social death. Their defiance was so total, so profound, that it transcended history and became a myth that continues to inspire. The story of the Igbo Landing is a vital piece of our shared history that deserves to be remembered. If this story moved you, please share it, so the courage of those 75 souls is never forgotten.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories of resistance. And let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What does this story mean to you? This has been Halo of Time. Until our next journey through history, keep seeking the truth and stay curious.